Not a day goes by without somebody asking me on social media or in my personal life, how can you tell when the Trump administration is telling the truth and when they're telling a lie? And I thought the best way to demonstrate this is through a personal story from when I was growing up on the farm. Hey guys, my name's Will. This is the Back 40, and let's talk about it. When I was 10 years old, I was riding horses with a good friend of mine. Now, I've told you before in my videos about growing up on the farm that I was a very lucky kid. Not only did we have a 600-acre farm, but we lived right next door to a really large state-owned game reserve. And we were riding over to that game reserve one day talking about our feigning interest in girls and what we wanted to do for the summer and all the other things that 10 and 11-year-old boys talk about. When all of a sudden, an old farmer who owned the farm next door to ours pulled up and said, "Boys, what are you doing out here alone?" Well, immediately our hackles were raised a little bit. I mean, we always rode our horses. We always went to the game reserve. We liked this old farmer. Why was he looking at us with such concern? And then what did the old farmer say? He told us a story. He said, "Boys, I just heard on the radio that there is a bear on the loose in the game reserve. And it's not just any bear. It's not a black bear, but a grizzly bear. And they've determined that this grizzly bear has gotten the scent for the flesh of young boys. You boys need to get home. Don't hesitate. Don't dilly-dally. Turn those horses around and canter them back to the farm." Then he went on to spend about 2 or 3 minutes talking about how he had seen bear scratch on the road and he thought he might have gotten a sight of the grizzly bear while he was driving down the road to the game reserve. And then he even shared a couple of stories with us about when he was growing up as a kid and his dad had taken him to Montana. And we just didn't want to know what a grizzly bear could do to an adult elk. And then finally, after he had us scared to death, tears just about to roll down our cheeks, he looked at us and said, "And boys, one more thing. Remember, don't believe anything you hear and only half of what you see." And he rolled up his window and he drove away. Well, my friend Billy and I, we turned those horses back toward the farm and we took off countering. And I'm not embarrassed to say that I was halfway back to the farm before it hit me what the old farmer had said. Don't believe anything you hear and only half of what you see. It was at that point that I knew that it was all just a made-up story. And while Billy was on the verge of tears and just about ready to cry, I started laughing out loud. And Billy said, "Why are you laughing? We're all gonna die." And I explained to him, "Billy, don't believe anything you hear and only half of what you see." And it sunk into Billy's brain as well. And we spent the rest of that ride laughing and cajoling and having a good time. Well, my friends, that's the same philosophy I use anytime I hear someone from the Trump administration make a statement, issue a press release, or tell me how good a decision is going to be for the United States of America. I just remember that old farmer with a grin on his face and a twinkle in his eye saying, "Boys, don't believe anything you hear and only half of what you see."